The U.S. and Canada, long-standing economic partners, have often clashed over trade policies, especially tariffs that threaten jobs and raise prices on both sides of the border. In fall 2025, Ontario, led by Premier Doug Ford, took an unprecedented step to fight back against looming American tariffs. Instead of quiet diplomacy, Ontario launched a bold ad campaign aimed directly at the American public. The campaign's goals show how tariffs hurt both nations, hoping to sway U.S. opinion and pressure Washington. But Ontario's strategy was unique. They used the words of a revered American icon to make their case. By invoking a respected historical figure, they hoped to cut through political noise and deliver a message Americans couldn't ignore. This move, however, would ignite a firestorm, turning a regional dispute into an international incident. The stage was set for a high-stakes public relations battle that would test the U.S. Canada relationship like never before. Ontario's campaign centered on a provocative TV ad. No politicians, no new narration, just archival audio of Ronald Reagan. As images of factories and cross-border trade played, Reagan's voice warned of the dangers of tariffs and economic isolationism. The ad stitched together lines from a 1987 speech, where Reagan argued that tariffs spark retaliation and trade wars, ultimately hurting American workers and consumers. The message: current U.S. policies were straying from Reagan's principles. The ad was a calculated appeal to conservative Americans, using a Republican icon to challenge Republican-led tariffs. But controversy erupted fast. The Reagan Foundation condemned the ad, accusing Ontario of manipulating Reagan's words and threatening legal action. Despite the backlash, Ontario stood by the ad's core message: tariffs are a hidden tax that backfire on everyone. By resurrecting Reagan's warning, Ontario made a political statement, not just an economic one. The fallout was immediate, and the ad's impact reached all the way to the White House. The White House noticed Ontario's ad immediately. On October 23, 2025, President Trump blasted the campaign on social media, calling it fake and a misrepresentation of Reagan's legacy. Trump saw the use of Reagan's voice as a direct attack on his America First agenda. In response, he abruptly terminated all ongoing trade negotiations with Canada, sending shockwaves through both countries' economies. The move was a clear message. Trump would not tolerate foreign interference in U.S. policy debates, especially using a Republican icon. The decision left Canadian leaders scrambling, as the very talks Ontario hoped to influence were now off the table. What began as a persuasive campaign had backfired, escalating into a full-blown diplomatic crisis. The ad, meant to foster dialogue, instead slammed the door on negotiations. Canada now faced the urgent task of damage control. With trade talks frozen, Ontario Premier Doug Ford and Prime Minister Mark Carney moved quickly to de-escalate. Less than 24 hours after Trump's announcement, Ford suspended the controversial ad campaign, calling it a gesture to restart negotiations. But Ford made a calculated move. The ad would still air during the World Series, where the Toronto Blue Jays faced the Dodgers. This allowed Ford to save face at home, showing he wasn't backing down completely. The decision balanced appeasing Washington with signaling to Canadians that the fight against tariffs wasn't over. By pulling the ad after the weekend, they met the White House's demand while ensuring their message reached millions one last time. It was a risky blend of apology and defiance. A final jab before extending an olive branch, the hope that this partial retreat would be enough to get talks back on track. The stakes for both economies couldn't have been higher. The fallout from the Reagan ad showed just how interdependent the U.S. and Canada truly are. Ontario's suspension of the campaign was a crucial first step toward repairing relations. Both sides now shifted focus from public pressure to reopening diplomatic channels. With an upcoming summit in South Korea, there was hope that Trump and Carney could meet informally and begin mending fences. The episode was a stark lesson in the risks of public pressure campaigns in the age of social media and populist politics. The core issue, tariffs, remained unresolved, but both nations knew that only negotiation, not ads or tweets, could break the deadlock. As the dust settled, the priority was clear. Get back to the table, because a trade war would hurt everyone. In the end, the U.S. Canada partnership proved too vital to abandon, even in the face of heated disputes.